what we learned from the first day of the NFL Combine. What's up, guys? Day two of the Combine is currently underway. With a quick break in the action right now, I wanted to quickly catch you guys up on the players that stood out yesterday, as well as the players we know the Chicago Bears have met with, as we are right in the middle of the NFL Combine and just 10 days away from NFL free agency. Check out my podcast I did with Greg Gabriel earlier in the day if you missed it. But first, let's take a quick peek at all of the players the Bears have met with so far at the NFL Combine. On offense, they've met with two running backs, three receivers, and three tight ends. Both Ashton Jeanty and Omarion Hampton topped the list as runners. But meeting with three tight ends, all projected to go in the top 50 picks, is a little bit interesting to me. What would you think of the Bears taking a tight end in round two? Let me know in the comments. Meanwhile, on the defensive side of the ball, they've met with seven defensive linemen, two linebackers, one corner, and three safeties. But all three of the edge rushers could be in play for pick number 10. James Pierce Jr., Michael Williams, and even Shamar Stewart. All three of these guys are very similar in size, all checking in around 6'5" and between 240 and 260 pounds. It looks like the Bears want more of an athletic edge rusher, a different body type than what we had in DeMarcus Walker. It's still very early in the process, but I believe just 2 weeks from now, we'll have a much better idea of how this offseason is going to play out and the type of players Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen are looking for. To me, it seems like the Bears are looking to beef up the interior of this defensive line by getting a big run stuffer in the middle and then adding an edge rusher on the outside that can get after quarterbacks. I like the way this seems to be heading. Most of the offense has not tested yet. The defense works out first in Indy. Tight ends take the field last tonight. And then tomorrow we have quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. An exciting day for the combine, followed by the offensive line on Sunday. And I'm really interested to see how some of the O-line guys measure in as well as test and figure out which ones the Bears interview. But now let's quickly go over the standouts from the NFL Combine's day one, led off by none other than Texas A&M's Shamar Stewart, who literally set the bar for athleticism by a defensive end, testing as the most athletic edge rusher in combine history, scoring a perfect 10.0. His lack of production in college is sure to be the topic of discussion, but he has legit buzz, and many scouts are saying he could be a top 10 pick in this draft. Keep an eye on this definition of an athletic freak. Next up was Landon Jackson, who, if it wasn't for Shamar, more people might be talking about Landon's day. He's a guy I had locked in as a second round pick. He might have done enough to raise his stock into first round contention. Although I do think he'd be a great player for the Bears to target if he fell to us in round two. Next up was James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee, who ran a 4.4740 in a hoodie. He scored a 9.34 on the RAS, and if it wasn't for his sub 33-inch arm length, he might have risen his stock up to the top 10 as well. Pierce is definitely a guy to keep an eye on. But a couple of other players who tested very well on the D line were Ole Miss's Princely Umana-Malayan out of Ole Miss, scoring an 8.50. Indiana's big 316-pound defensive tackle, CJ West, scored a 9.14 and ran a sub 5 40-yard dash. And then lastly, we have TJ Sanders, who didn't run, but tested pretty well and scored an 8.52. So much talent on this year's defensive line. It is a year for the trenches. If you missed it earlier, I was live for an hour with Greg Gabriel talking not only the NFL Combine, but the upcoming free agency period as well. Day two of the Combine is currently underway. I'll be back with more Bears coverage. Thanks to everyone who watches. Please remember to hit that like button for me. Stay tuned. And until next time, bear down.